Acoustic Shop channel. I am John. I am here today with the guitar playing phenom, Jeremy Chapman. He is going to...
That's what I'm calling myself now. Thank you for using that.
Guitar playing phenom. How do you spell that, by the way? It doesn't matter because we're going to talk about some Eastman E40s, brand new models this year, the new Thermo-Cured versus natural. We're going to do a blind test of those right after this.
See if your ears can tell the difference.
Well, there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
No, we got to do the test. What do we have here? This E40D is like Eastman's top of the line model.
Correct.
I think before we jump into this, we always need to remember, make sure you like and subscribe. My kids watch so much YouTube that when they go to bed at night, Hadley stops me and she goes, "Hey Dad, before you do that, make sure you like and subscribe down below, share this with all your friends, and leave something in the comments." And then she goes, "Okay, go Dad."
That is so weird.
Kids these days, right? So like and subscribe down below, leave something in the comments, and give us a thumbs up.
Hey, thumbs up. I like those.
That's not even on YouTube, but that's what my kids all say.
Is there
a
thumbs up?
All right, okay.
All right, there you go. Anyway, we'd love you to do that. It helps us to keep this channel going and supporting it, like I said, all the way through. We also have links down below where you can see that entire performance video we just did of that great Bob Dylan tune. We didn't do so great on it, but it is a great Bob Dylan tune.
That's where I got the moniker of Guitar Phenom.
Oh,
after I soloed that one.
That's pretty impressive.
People just started calling me that.
There's going to be links down below where you can see all kinds of specific stuff, including the final blind test. I'm assuming it's going to be at the end. I'm not sure. I don't know how they edit this stuff. There's a link down below,
so if you want to skip all this banter, go for it.
And we'll talk about these too. I just got this information. I'm not even sure that you know this yet.
I know everything.
Talked to our main production guy in Europe. He has informed me that the Acoustic Shop is now the largest acoustic Eastman dealer in the world.
What?
The world. That's huge,
Universe
right?
next year.
Yeah, next year we're going for Universe. Anyway, so as part of that, they got some new models that are coming out. We've been kind of talking about some of this. They sent me a bunch of new changes for 2022, and one of them is this, and these are kind of sort of pre-production. I've got final specs on some of these, so there are a couple little things that you'll see in these guitars that may or may not stick in the final versions of these, but these are early renditions of these new models. And one of them is probably the most requested thing that I have had being on forums, had emails from Eastman, is a Thermo-Cured version of the 40 series. The E40 series is part of the traditional series from Eastman Guitars, as well as their top of the line.
Their showcase piece.
This is their showcase. This is where you get all those specs.
I'm not huge on the abalone and like a real blingy thing, but they do it so tastefully on this guitar. We talked about this in a previous video, where they match the colors of the abalone around it, so it blends very well, and it's kind of subtle, and it doesn't really just stand out with a lot of bright greens and oranges and stuff. It's just a very classy looking abalone that they selected with, and then I think the inlay on the neck is also very nice, and then kind of an updated headstock, I believe.
Well, I'm not sure about this. So again, here's one of those things that I'm not positive on. I actually just got a phone call into a guy here in Pomona that knows usually specs and stuff, and he did not answer me. Thank you, Dan, for not answering my phone call. But what I was going to check on is this. This particular guitar is a new updated version that is actually not going to stay in spec, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But that has a different peg head. I guess it would be a torch inlay, their variation of it. This is the standard one that has been out for quite some time and is on the newer model, which is the Thermo-Cured
So we're not sure yet
version.
which will be the one that all previous or new ones coming out will have. But
that's right.
So
we'll find out that, and you guys are watching this, the comments, all that kind of stuff.
But the E40 is a rosewood back and sides, correct?
E40 is correct, a rosewood sides and back, Adirondack spruce top. One of the cool things that I love that they did with the 40 series is do the herringbone on the back instead of, again, the 45 series that is done by Martin and a bunch of other people have done a 45 variation. There's abalone all around the sides and the back. Most people never see that. It's a big expense you wouldn't have to do, but they still dressed up the back by putting in a herringbone strip and the zigzag back strap or stripe, which is actually a normal thing. Binding on the fretboard, peg head. This particular one has gold tuners. Again, I don't know if that's going to be a new spec or not. I only saw this on the new Thermo-Cured dreads. The OMs still have nickel tuners, so curious to see if that's going to be a final spec or not. But that's all besides the point, because the main thing that we're going to be talking about today is Thermo-Cured versus non-Thermo-Cured. Again, those of you who have followed our channel already know this, but this was actually a cool project that I got to be involved in, which was the start of the Thermo-Cured series from Eastman Guitars. Quite a few years ago, I talked with Otto, head designer, as well as a bunch of the folks that work there, and we talked about the idea of a torrefied or Thermo-Cured top. They had heard of the process, knew a little bit about it, and we kind of started talking more and more into it. So what I did was I went and did the research to help them find it. We originally sourced these from the same sources that most of the big brands are doing. In fact, I made a lot of phone calls to do that. We found the place that was doing most of the torrefication or thermo-curing, and we did all that there. The guitar series started out really, really slow with the production folks over in China. They were so-so on the idea. They weren't sure that it was
got a learning curve.
Brand new. Yes.
It's got a learning curve. When you have thermo-cured tops, they can be more brittle if you don't know how to work with them. So I think that originally they were having some issues where they were breaking tops and not really
they weren't sure how to deal with it. And again, I want to address that too, because I had this conversation just yesterday with a customer who was asking me, what is the long-term abilities of it? Yes, when you do thermo-cure top or any of the woods, it does become a little more brittle. But honestly, so does a 25-year-old top. Anything that is aged more will become a little bit more brittle. It's losing that moisture content. It's losing some of that flexible sugar, things that are inside the top, and changing it. We kind of built a batch. We brought most of them into our shop, and we sold through them very fast. It became one of the most popular models for Eastman guitars. Then all of a sudden, the folks, fast forward almost a year and a half, folks over in China are like, these guitars sound great. We already knew that. We thought they did. So we were like,
Thanks.
wait, thank you very much. So they started going into full production with it. So much so that they ended up actually buying a new kiln that they are now putting in the facilities at Eastman.
Completely internal now.
Are now doing thermo-curing in their own facilities, which is actually pretty amazing because it is one of the most high-tech kilns out there. So fast forward now this year. Most requested guitar of all time for us was a thermo-cured version of their top-of-the-line guitar, and ta-da! It's right here.
Finally happened.
It has happened. It has been a fun project to watch. It has been fun to be involved with. The folks at Eastman do keep kind of topping out, and like you said, moving towards where the market is at, and this will be a new add-on for 2022. So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so we can visually you can see a difference already. The tops of a thermo-cured are much more yellow and a little bit more aged
brown.
looking.
I would say brown.
Brown.
It has this toasty, beautiful color, brown.
It feels a little bit more like a vintage guitar, just appearance-wise, and that's just a natural. When I was learning a little bit more about torrefying tops and torrefying wood, it was very interesting that this color is not just like a surface thing that happens on the outsides of it, but they do a lot of torrefying in hardwood floors, and apparently the entire way through the piece of wood is that same color. So it's an advantage for things like that where they can sand it down. It's the same color inside the wood. So a thermo-curing process goes all the way through all the grains of the wood.
So out of curiosity, in your research for this in flooring, the reason why they do this, what is it, for stability?
Stability, it keeps them from warping as much, makes it longevity. And like I said, if things happen and it gets nicked, you don't have that lighter colored undercolor of the wood. So it's the same color all the way through the piece of wood. So a lot of advantages to it. And it turns out the Vikings came up with it. It was to make their ships last longer going across seas. So.
Did not know that.
Thank you, Vikings.
How do they do oxygen-free kilns in Viking days?
I don't know. They probably use a slightly different process.
I would assume. But that goes to your question, like we talked earlier. What is the longevity of thermo-curing?
Viking ships are still around, so. There you go.
It does make it, there is some stability that has actually been talked about from guitar manufacturers as well. With that less of the moisture in and out of the guitar, it is a little more stable. So yes, a little harder to build with in the front end, but a more stable guitar in the long run, or mandolin, or whatever you end up building out. Violins, believe it or not, there were violins done way before guitars with thermo-curing. So that's my research for you. Anyway, here's what we know. The sound of a thermo-cured guitar has a drier, a little more vintagey type of tone versus this one. Go ahead. A little bit more of a modern tone. I detect a little more sustain, a little more high-end detail in those, which is kind of a modern, more sound. I find that the top end's a little more rounded in these, and again, you know, we're dealing with every guitar is going to be a little bit different, so give you that. But on average, I found that that's kind of the tonal properties of these two guitars.
But to do this comparison, we're going to take a stop here because my technique on guitar is not good. You're the guitar player.
Mine isn't either.
So we're going to have you do both of them back to back. So it's the same player, same technique. We're going to play them. The audience doesn't get to see which guitar it is. You just close your eyes, or you can look at the screen because we're not going to show you anyway. But just use your ears will be your eyes on this one. Put it in the comments below. It'd be interesting to see if there is a consensus or if it's completely across the board. But let's go ahead and jump in that and have you do the blind test right now. Close your eyes, John. Which guitar do you have?
This is
Fail. Wrong. All right, we'll be right with you.
Well, there you have it, Jeremy. Thermo-Cure, I think it's here to stay. I know it's here to stay. This has become such a prominent part of the guitar world, especially in acoustics right now. Thermo-curing, torrefying, whatever you want to call it, it is here. I think you're going to see it in more instruments.
With electric guitars, it probably wouldn't affect the tone as much, but weight.
You are hearing it actually a lot. Roasted necks, you're seeing a lot.
I just think the body would be lighter, getting rid of all that.
It very well could. You are correct. Scientifically, it is actually lighter and a little bit better. So you'll see it. I think it's here to stay. I think it's there. My opinions, and I guess
they count for everything around here.
I definitely hear a difference. Is it night and day, the only difference in the world? No, I think, again, there's variance between every guitar. There's some in there, but there is and has been a subtle difference in tone. I find it to be drier. I find it to be a little bit warmer in my ear, a little bit thicker. Just, you know, there's a little something vintagey to it. Your thoughts on that?
I agree. The tough part, and especially if you're just comparing these two guitars, there's enough variance between the same exact model with non-torrefied or with torrefied. Two guitars are going to sound slightly different. So it's hard to give a comparison, but we've had a lot of torrefied guitars through the shop, got a chance, an opportunity to play a bunch of them. And so you start to develop this kind of threshold for what differences there is between them. And I think you're correct. There just seems to be a little bit more of a vintage tone to it, just a little bit more of a roundedness to it, it seems like. And these ones maybe have a little more tightness and a little more clarity between notes. So I hear a tonal difference. When I kind of turned my back when you were doing the back-to-back, side-by-side, and I do think I prefer the torrefied top. It had a tone that I appreciated.
Yeah, and again, this is all what we like, what we have grown up with, and we own vintage instruments. That's a sound that we have both grown accustomed to, and I know there are a lot of great players out there that don't love that sound. There are a lot of them that want a modern sound. They want a different sound. That's the reason why it's still an availability out there is you can get a natural top, you can get a Thermo-Cured top. I find both of them to be great options. For my money, I would every time pick a Thermo-Cure. I think there's a little something extra.
From Eastman, it is not very expensive of an upgrade. Other manufacturers, it's an $800 to $1,000 upcharge to get torrefied. So I think it's worthwhile investment if you like the tone. I'm interested to read the comments and kind of see people that were at home and they had the blind thing so they couldn't see which guitar you were playing. I want to see what they thought. I know it's over your speakers, your computer speakers, but both guitars are over the same speakers. So did you hear a difference? Which did you prefer? I think it'll be pretty interesting to see.
Here's my final conclusion. You could give me either one of these guitars and I would love them. I would just love them. That's all there is to it. I would take either one. I would play it. Again, if you just made me choose which one I had to have over the other.
Just take both of them, John.
All right, I'm going to take them both. Jeremy said so. You guys heard it. Jeremy said I can have both.
I will invoice you later.
Anyway, till next time, keep on picking and enjoy the videos, guys.
And we really appreciate you guys watching that video. It was my favorite one we've made so far. We've done hundreds of videos, and that was the best one.
It was.
And the next one's going to be even better. If you'd like to see that, be sure you subscribe to this channel. And also, the more you comment and interact below, the more the YouTube algorithms pick it up and start pushing it out to other people, like-minded people.
Algorithms?
Algorithms. They're everywhere. They permeate the internet, and YouTube's got one. And it watches our videos, and it sees how much you comment, and then it pushes us to other people like you. And we want everyone to experience the acoustic shop world where we talk about instruments, we do reviews, we got some fun videos coming up. We thank you guys so much for being a part of it, and we'll see you in the next video.